Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Cashmere Morley.
All right, Ms. Morley, the report that I have in front of me indicates that Mr. Stevens appeared at your place of work and waited in line to speak with you.
Those are two separate events, but that's correct.
What do you mean they're two separate events?
There was a workplace event where he showed up at my place of work, and then when he was waiting in line to come to me, it was to a networking event that I was putting together, that I was hosting.
The testimony begins with witness Kashmir Malite taking the oath and promptly addressing a crucial point. There were two distinct encounters with Mr. Stevens, not a single one as initially suggested. The first occurred in mid-March, when Stevens appeared unannounced at Malite's part-time job at the Ann Arbor Arts Center. The second happened on April 25th during a professional networking event hosted by Malite. This clarification is significant because it indicates ongoing contact rather than a one-off interaction. Although preliminary court documents had combined the incidents into one, Malite emphasizes that they happened separately, in different environments and under different circumstances. As the judge examines the timeline in more detail, Malite confirms that Stevens had no official business at the Art Center during his visit. Her early statement sets the foundation for a deeper conversation about personal space, professional boundaries, and the nature of unwelcome attention.
And it just says Stevens appeared at Morley's place of work, waited in line to speak with you. When you refused to have contact with him, he waited around the venue for 10 more minutes before leaving. So now you're telling me, that sounds to me like what they're describing to me is one event, but you're saying there are two. Which one occurred first?
The workplace event. That was in March.
And the workplace event, where he came to your place of work?
Where do I work?
Well, in March, you're saying he came to your place of work. Where do you work?
I put some hours in at the Ann Arbor Art Center.
Pardon?
The Ann Arbor Art Center.
So, and that was on March?
Probably would have been mid-March sometime.
And that's kind of where you would work every day?
Not every day, but I'm part-time there, so I'm there frequently.
Okay. In your mind, did he have a purpose for coming there? If he was there?
It was my understanding that there was, I have allergies going on today. There was an exhibition, I think, that he was supposed to help out with. That's as far as I know. But the times that he showed up, there was nothing work pertaining going on, according to the people that I spoke with.
So, he shows up there, and then what does he do vis-a-vis you?
One of the people that I work with said that they saw him just wandering around the building, not really with a purpose, and nobody knew who he was or why he was there.
Okay, did he see you?
I didn't see him. And I don't think
you did not see him.
Mm-mm. But I knew he was in the building.
In the incident that took place in mid-March, Stevens allegedly showed up at the Ann Arbor Art Center, where Malite was employed part-time. According to Malite, none of the staff recognized him or understood the reason for his visit. He was seen wandering around the building without a clear objective or scheduled meeting. Malite did not witness him personally that day, but became aware of his presence through internal staff emails. The email exchange revealed a sense of unease and confusion among employees, with some speculating he might be connected to an upcoming exhibition, though nothing concrete was scheduled. Malite maintains that there was no official event or appointment tying Stevens to the center at that time. His unexplained visit raised concerns, as having an unknown individual loitering in a professional space without justification can be unsettling. From a legal standpoint, such behavior could potentially be viewed as stalking or trespassing, particularly given the existence of a no-contact order in place.
On like an all-staff email chain, and so I was told that he was going to come into the building for an exhibition.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, so you're told via this email that he's coming into the building, and at least according to that work email, he was entering that place for some legitimate purpose.
The email said that he had showed up. Nobody knew who he was, but apparently he was putting on an exhibition. So they were talking about him coming randomly out of nowhere and saying that he was there for an exhibition. So they were discussing that. And then the email said that there was an exhibition to take place in March that apparently he was supposed to be a part of, but nobody knew who he was or why he was there. That was the email.
Yes, sir. If nobody knew who he was, did they know his name?
Well, I'm sure he's probably told them his name because they said his name in the email, but in the correspondence, they said they didn't know who he was at the time that he appeared.
Do you have copies of those emails?
Not with me, no.
Do you have access to copies of them?
I could probably get some, yeah.
And then the other event took place, what was that, May 5th?
That was April 25th.
April 25th was the second thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and where did that allegedly happen?
I was hosting a networking event at Venue by Forum in Ann Arbor, and he appeared and he stood in line, and I was checking people in, and he stood in line so that I could check him into an event that I was hosting, and stood longer in line than he did at the actual event.
So you're hosting an event?
Mm-hmm. Me and the crew of other people, but I was on the hosting committee.
So he comes there, or to you.
Mm-hmm.
Would he, in going to the event, would there have been another way, assuming he's there, that he would have been able to access the event without checking with you?
That was the only way, was to go through me. And I was an organizer on the event, so if you were paying attention to the event at all, my name was all over that. There was no way you couldn't have.
On April 25th, Stevens made another appearance, this time at a public networking event organized by Malite and her team. While Malite was stationed at the check-in table, he approached her, greeted her with a good morning, and tried to initiate a conversation. Due to the existing no-contact order, Malite did not respond. A nearby colleague, unaware of the situation, stepped in and handled Stevens' check-in. Stevens remained at the event for less than 10 minutes before leaving, despite having waited in line longer than he stayed. Malite later pointed out this discrepancy, suggesting that his brief attendance likely wasn't driven by a genuine interest in networking. She emphasized that her role as an organizer was clearly stated on promotional materials, making it unlikely he was unaware of her involvement. This raised further concerns about his true intentions, hinting that his presence may have been personal rather than professional.
But prior to coming to the event, would he have known that you were at the desk or wherever it needed to be checked in?
I don't know if he knows that or not, but he had at least 10 minutes waiting in line to get to me to turn around and leave the event. And he chose to come and approach me instead.
Okay, so when he approached you, what did he say?
He said good morning and tried to have me check him in. We have a no contact order, so I didn't speak to him. And the person next to me who was helping check people in then took over because she didn't know the situation and checked him into the event. And he stayed less than 10 minutes and left at a networking event.
Okay, so he comes to the event. So it's not a circumstance where you're the only one checking people in.
Correct.
There's somebody else there.
Sitting right next to me. Yep.
Okay, so he comes up, he says good morning. Is that the only thing he said to you?
He tried to have conversation at the desk, and I didn't have anything.
Your conversation.
He checked himself in and then started talking about a hat that he was wearing and started trying to have conversation with me. And then when I didn't say anything, the woman next to me ushered him into the event, and he wasn't signed up for this event either.
Or did you have to be?
You were supposed to be, yes.
Okay, but did you have to be?
We were letting people in anyway, but that was not the intent, as it was the first event that we were throwing.
So those are the two events?
Mm-hmm.
So are you claiming that there are any other events that took place?
I'm here because of the April 25th event.
Okay. Are you claiming that there are any other events of contact? Okay. So, in mid-March, after, just so that I'm correct.
Although the encounter left her unsettled, Malite chose not to contact the police immediately. She explains that it was the inaugural run of the networking event, and she didn't want to overshadow its success by involving law enforcement on the spot. Instead, she later sought guidance from a probation officer who advised her to file a formal police report, a step she eventually took. During the hearing, the judge invited Malite to review her own victim's statement included in that report. As she read it aloud, she expressed concern, stating that it inaccurately merged the two separate incidents and failed to reflect what truly transpired. In particular, she challenged the claim that Stevens wore a hat to conceal his identity and denied that he made repeated efforts to speak with her at the event. The judge appeared intent on clarifying whether the details in the official report matched Malite's testimony, signaling how crucial consistency and accuracy are in the eyes of the court.
Into the event, he didn't stay long and then left.
He waited longer in line to check in than he did at the event. Than he was at the event.
Okay, it's the second time you said that. So what am I supposed to take from that?
That he waited in line longer to get to me than he actually stayed at the event. If he was there for work, for networking, I don't know why you would stay there to network.
How many of these events have you done, say, this year?
This is the first one we had this past April.
Okay. How often are you at your part-time job?
20 hours a week.
Okay. So other than this March date, I'm just talking this year at this point. Has he come into your work?
Not that I know of. I have not seen him.
Okay. And then after July of 2024, were you also participating in events?
I was not hosting them, but I was going to networking events, yes.
So you did. So this is the first event you hosted.
Correct.
Only encounter between you and him on April 25th is phrase it. How long was that encounter?
The conversation turns to whether any additional encounters occurred beyond the two previously discussed. Malite confirms that the April 25th event is the immediate cause of her current concern, but she emphasizes that this is not an isolated matter. She reminds the court that she has contacted the Ann Arbor precinct on at least 3 separate occasions regarding potential breaches of the no-contact order. The judge notes that prior incidents were addressed during earlier sentencing hearings. However, Malite asserts that from December through July, there was a troubling pattern of behavior. Emails, letters, and even items left in her mailbox that extended beyond the 2 incidents currently under examination. Recognizing this broader context, the court acknowledges a pattern beginning to emerge. The judge then revisits Stevens' assertion that he owns rental property near Malite's home, an explanation he offers for being in the area. Malite, however, questions whether that alone justifies his vehicle being parked outside her residence, suggesting a deeper discomfort that location alone cannot explain.